Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talos of Tech live on Twitch. Now rocking AirPods Max finally. And it's funny, Twitch works differently from YouTube. So the chat is not preserved for people joining in, which I find funny because it normally means a lot of people joining the chat think they're the first one. But in reality, they're just seeing the chat load for them for the first time. So they think no one else is here. And then they write first, even though there's just. Anyway, sorry. The chat's funny. I still never understood the dwelling on being first thing. But AirPods Max have been quite the mixed bag for me, I got to admit. For one, I'm having some quality control problems with the right cup, which means that I'm getting little crackling sounds, little wind sounds occasionally, and it's not very consistent, which is the confusing thing. It's not like it's always going on. There will be hour-long times where I don't hear it at all, and then it will slowly start to come back, which is bizarre, but I can tell it's not just an ANC thing, because there were a lot of people saying, oh, that's just how ANC works. For one, it's not happening with the left side. It's only happening on the right side. For two, there are times when I put the headphones on, and right when they first connect, it makes this real loud hissing sound on the right side. And I can tell for a fact it is not intentional. It is definitely a defect. I'm just worried that it's a hardware defect because I've tried resetting them, I've tried repairing them, I've tried the factory resets and everything. I've tried them with the Mac, with the iPhone, the iPad, and they do the same thing across all of them. So I'm worried that there's some type of hardware problem with them, but at least in my early experiences so far, it seems like no one else is having the defect, which is good, which, it's not a matter of is the defect just Drew or not. It's a matter of how many people will this affect. And thankfully, I don't see a lot of people experiencing the same issue, so it sounds like it might just be a me problem. And it would be very easy and simple for me to just be like, oh, I'll contact Apple support and they can send me a new pair that hopefully doesn't have that defect. But because they're so back-ordered, I imagine that if I did want to return these and have a new pair sent to me, it would probably take 3 months. And then I don't know if I even want to be reviewing these or trying them in 3 months. So I'm basically just going to hold on to them and live with the defect for the length of the review period and do my best to not bring that up in the official review. But given this is a Twitch stream and I can give you my 24-hour impressions, this is how I'm crediting it. I think it would be worse for me to notice the problem and then see, well, no one else is having the problem, so I won't bring it up. Like, my job as a YouTuber and Twitch streamer is to give you guys feedback on my experience, and this is what I'm experiencing, so I'm letting you know. I'm definitely not keeping them. Even if I wanted them, I wouldn't keep them because I don't think they justify the price. But even outside of that, even if I think they did justify the price, mine have a defect. So it's quite annoying. It's quite troublesome when I'm in the middle of editing and I'm trying to test these things and I'm trying to wear them for prolonged periods of time to be able to talk about how they feel on the head for long stretches, but they keep making this weird right hissing windy noise occasionally. And I've tried taking the cups out and cleaning them and, taking a brush to them and trying to make sure there's no dust in them or anything. And I've tried reconnecting them and trying them on different devices and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't make a difference. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I'll go, like, right now they're not doing them. Like, for an hour it won't do them, and then it'll slowly come back to the point that it's unbearable, to the point that it's like, I don't even want to wear these anymore. It's just uncomfortable to have a constant noise like that in your right ear. Anyway, I've got some donations. Overachiever says, off topic, but I know over on the Movie Reviews channel, you made a video on how Marvel is by far outdoing Star Wars, but has your opinion changed at all since the investors report with Disney dropping massive amounts of scheduled content for both? Not really, because I would probably have to watch all those shows to tell you how they're doing, and the movie industry is very different now, but yeah, that might be worth revisiting. Thank you for the donation. Mike Cyberhuckling, thank you for the 27 months of Twitch Prime. He says, my Beat Studio 3s are legit about to snap in half, so I'm hoping I can find AirPods Max in stock somewhere. I still don't think I'd recommend them if you want my opinion. I know that some people probably don't, and they just watch me to hopefully verify their purchases so they can feel good about their purchases. But if you're asking me if I recommend them or not, I'm going to say no. And it's not just because of my defect. Ignoring the defect, I still wouldn't say they're worth it, mainly because of the case and the way they're designed. This is horrible. The annoying thing about it is you can't even just choose not to use it. Because if you just decide, you know what, I don't like the case, so I'm just going to leave it in the box and pretend it doesn't exist, then your battery is going to be substantially worse, because this is pretty much the only way to turn them off. Because there's no on and off switch, and there's no way to just shut them down and preserve battery life. So they will slowly drain battery unless you put them in this case, which makes it very, very hard to ignore this. And I don't think durability-wise these are going to hold up that well. It's hard to tell because we just got them, but between the mesh fabric and this silicone headband, this is going to get chewed up. I can already tell just based on... this is made of the same material as the iPad Magic keyboard case, which ages horribly, and it collects all kinds of oils and smudges, and I know this is going to, and it's not that protective. So unless you're willing to get a second case that you also put the AirPods Max in for $550, I'm sorry, can't recommend it. Let's see. Yeah, I doubt stainless steel will crack. I don't think it'll crack, but I still think they will age poorly. For one, because you have to use this case, like I said. It would be one thing if it was just an optional case, but you could just choose not to use it. But for one, I hate the amount of times these headphones like hitting each other with the metal. I feel like that's going to scratch horribly over time. And knowing how Apple's ANC issues have been with AirPods Pro, I wouldn't be shocked if you run into more issues with these long term as well. And unlike AirPods Pro, you can't just replace one. If you want to replace one, you got to replace both. But when you take these out of the case, they always make this little where the metal scrapes against itself, which sounds horrible. And it's very awkward taking these in and out. And I hate the way that the lightning port doesn't align with the cutout on this side. The only way to get it to align properly is for you to adjust these stems again, and then it aligns a little bit better. But that means you have to readjust these every time you take them out, which is really cumbersome and frustrating in my opinion. The iPad keyboard case in my house is oily on the keys and bottom part. Oh yeah, it's very oily. Mine hasn't aged very well either, and that's the exact material that the headband is made of and that the case is made of. It's not a material that has been known to age very well. And given there's no protection on this headband piece, if you're storing this in luggage and that kind of thing, just I don't know. I think it's a real shame that basically every part of the AirPods Max division kind of belly flopped other than the audio department. Because I do admit they sound amazing, and the ANC is really good when it works. Again, for me, it's not working great, but I know I'm the outlier. I'm not the standard, but the audio quality is fantastic, and the transparency mode is good, and the active noise cancellation works really, really well. It's just wrapped in this case of garbage, and sadly, I have to admit that's a part of the headphones you interact with a lot. That's a part of device that you have to interact with. Pretty much every time you take these things off, you have to interact with this. And they scrape together every time you take them off. And I will say they're not even that comfortable to just keep on your neck because of how tight they are and the fabric mesh on the back. It's kind of a tight, and then they hit in the middle here. So I wouldn't even wear them like this very much, to be honest with you, because it's not that comfortable in this configuration. Because for one, they're very heavy. They're a heavy pair of headphones that you don't notice that much when they're on you like this and you're sitting upright. But yeah, Marquez touched on it in his review. Anytime you use them and you start moving your head around a little bit, whether you're laying back or laying forward, you feel all that weight move forward, and it feels like it's going to fall off. I haven't had them fall off on me, but if you're the type of person that likes moving around a little bit or dancing at all while wearing headphones like I do, yeah, these feel quite cumbersome. It's pretty much only good if you're planning on sitting upright and not moving very much. For that, I will say it's very comfortable. In that one configuration, it's very comfy. Third-party cases will be a thing. Give it a week or two. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just if you're going to have to sell a solution, then I'm not going to recommend you buy $550 and then have to go buy a third-party case that's another $50. Now you got to go $600 to fix the problem in the design. No, thank you. I don't think so. Let's see. It's still your experience, Drew. I'd be the same if my Y was terribly built compared to the average vehicle that may have its own base issues. It is my experience. That's all I can give you. I can't give you insight on everyone else's experience. All I can give you is mine. Third-party cases don't fix the poor headband, no off button, and the cups hitting together. That's true. So even if you did use a third-party case, they would probably still be hitting the cups together, and they can't really be that portable in a third-party case if we wrap them up like this. Yeah, the metal still hits itself. It wouldn't even be that bad if they just put like a little rubber seal there. If they just put like a little padding on these edges so that they don't rub metal together like that. Like I already can tell that's going to start scuffing and scratching, which is not good. You can't replace the old iPod posters ads with these. No, I would not recommend jumping around with these on, to be honest with you. They would most likely start falling off because of how heavy they are. But yeah, I feel like at $550 you have every right to be very picky about them, and you don't have the excuse of, well, if you just buy this thing. Well, if you just buy this thing. At $550 you should not be having to pick up additional accessories or additional things to fix the inherent design flaw. I would just say wait. You guys have obviously made it this far without AirPods Max in life. We've all made it this far without AirPods Max, and I think you can last longer. I don't think that there's anything exclusively here that is like a must-have. You need this. I know Randy seems to really, really be in love with the audio quality. I watched his unboxing impressions and stuff, but in his video showing how he loves the audio quality because it is good. Like I said, that's probably the best redeeming quality these things have is just the really good audio, but that's one piece of the puzzle. Sadly, that's not the only piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of things that go into a pair of headphones, especially if you're spending that kind of money. But the pros don't outweigh the cons, in my opinion. And I don't think the Bose 700s or the XM4s are going to be that much substantially worse in audio quality or transparency mode and all that stuff. Have iPhones gotten much better since then or just minor upgrades? Since 2018? Yeah, they've gotten cheaper. They've brought down more pro-grade features. Yeah, I'd say the battery lives and the displays and the pricing has gotten better. Sure. Let's see. Is it sweat resistant or convenient for workouts? No, not at all. It's Apple came forward and said it's not sweat resistant at all, not even slightly. And I would not recommend it for workouts because they are very top heavy. So if you're leaning back or your head is forward like this, you can feel them move forward. And I don't think they would stay on your head very well if you were doing any type of activity that involved moving your head, like Fitness Plus. No, I'm not. I've not tried Fitness Plus. I don't think I'm gonna like it. And most of all the little trailer things for Fitness Plus were showing these people that already had equipment. They were like, let's try this rowing activity using these special rowing tools. But it's like, I don't have that. It's like, okay, in today's video, we're going to be lifting these weights. It's like, well, I don't have that. It's like, all right, in today's video, we're going to be doing these types of aerobic. We're going to be on the bike type. It's like, okay, so I got to buy all this. I got to provide it all myself. And I'm paying $10 for someone to tell me how to use the equipment. No, thank you. My XM3s are light enough. I've used them for over an hour on the treadmill. No issue. Sweat didn't do a thing to him either. That's good. See, it would be so much easier to have this debate if they were $399, because I don't care what anybody says. I still think that's expensive for a pair of headphones you plan on using for iPhones, and they're built for consumption. I really enjoyed MKBHD's video about AirPods Max because I think he really simplified the whole debate in a way that needed it. He's like, there are certain headphones built for production and other headphones built for consumption. And AirPods Max are definitely being built for consumption, but in the market that they're serving, they're incredibly higher priced. And they're definitely not built to be studio monitoring headphones. Otherwise, they would come with audio jack, or at least the Lightning to USB-C cable that comes with them would support USB audio, which they don't. So they're clearly not meant to be used with a wire. It's just kind of a last second afterthought. But $399 is a lot in my opinion. I still think that's very, very high-priced headphone market, and I don't think any of the advantages justify AirPods Max, because for one, I don't think that many people out there would say the Bose 700s or XM4s sound bad. I've never seen that argument. It sounds like a very subjective thing. No, you can't plug them in with a Lightning to USB-C cable and use them wired. We tried that. We tried to see if that was a thing. It doesn't support it. AO Duck 29, thank you for the 16 months of Twitch Prime. Appreciate that. Very complex. Hitting it again with the liposuction is cheaper than a Peloton machine in subscription. Yeah, I do not get Peloton at all, but the fact that the adapter does not come with headphones that are $550 is, in my opinion, proof they're not meant to be used with a wire. There is a $35 option, but they're still not built for that. Like, I can tell these were built for TV Plus, spatial audio, and Apple Music streaming. And at $550, no, it's a no for me. It's the first pair of AirPods I'm gonna not recommend, I think, to anybody. I think that if you're charging that kind of money on headphones, like, the shame is there was so much potential here. There was so many chances for Apple to make something great. Like, there was an opportunity for Apple to make some type of reference monitors that could be great for production, that also, if you want them to, could be great for wireless experiences with your iPhone and your iPad and streaming music and watching movies. Like, we've had a lot of production headphones that are more expensive than these and consumption headphones that are way cheaper than these. They would have had a great opportunity to kind of merge the two into one product and also throw this crap out. Like, just scrap this entirely. I don't care what. This doesn't need to be tinkered. This needs to be thrown out entirely, and just go with a standard case. Like, even basic, cheap, like $50 over-ear headphones will come with a travel case that's fairly durable, that you can put them away and zip them up, and they have a little net for the wires if you need to charge them or whatever. Yeah, that's the other thing. This doesn't let you store a charger in it like every other pair of over-ear headphones, which, again, it might have been a good debate if these were $399, but at $549, it just ruins it. It's like, no, sorry, you can't get away with that at this price. I was thinking $399 was like the higher end margin of headphones, and this is $150 above that. So, yeah, I would definitely say they're not worth it if you're on the fence about them. I know that there's some people that are going to love them and that are going to buy them no matter what. Doesn't matter what I say. But if you're watching my stream or watching my videos because you want my opinion, I'm going to give them to you. And I think there's too many times in the world where we're just like, oh, it depends. Sometimes we should just be like, no. Sometimes I got to put my foot down and say, don't do it. I don't know. I don't know if we'll get cheaper AirPods, because that's what people were saying when the first generation AirPods came out. They were like, $160? That's a lot. Well, maybe next year they'll have a cheaper pair. Guess what? They only got more expensive. Apple has never released cheaper AirPods. They have only progressively gotten more expensive over time. I think that if you want cheaper over-ears, they're just going to tell you to buy Beats. That's what Beats are for. Just like when AirPods came out, the Beats X were cheaper. So it's like, do you want cheaper wireless headphones than AirPods? Well, get the pair of Beats. Get the Beats Flex. Beats Flex are $50 and they have USB-C. How is that fair? How come the $50 headphones get USB-C, but these $550 have to get Lightning? There's potential for a really, really great sequel to AirPods Max, in my opinion. There's a lot of potential for them to come up with a way for it to be more of a Mac accessory. And I'm not even saying it has to exclusively be a Mac accessory. I think what would be cool, because there's a lot of wired studio grade, reference type headphones out there. If you could make something that was great for the Mac, great for Logic, in audio playback, and you could also make something that could rival that of Bose headphones or Sony XM4s. So you get a great wireless experience with your iPhones and iPads, and at the same time you can plug in and get a great accessory for Logic Pro. That would be wonderful. I think that's where these should have gone. That's the sector these should have sat in. Is the, yes, they're more expensive than Sony's or XM4s, but they are replacement worthy for studio grade audio quality, studio grade like audio monitoring headphones. Instead, they got something in the middle. AirPods are great though, no lie. I'll be honest, I went for a run yesterday and I used the OG AirPods because I want to be able to hear my surroundings, and I just figured I hadn't used these in a while. These are fantastic. These are wonderful, I must say, even though they've barely changed in the past 4 years. I love this. I love the original AirPods still. Like, they fit in my ear great, and personally, I still think the sound quality is pretty good. Obviously, these are much better. These are wonderful audio quality, and they don't have transparency mode or, well, I mean, these are like built-in transparency mode. Like, you can't turn off transparency mode. And to a lot of people, including Sam from iUpdate, they think that these sound better than AirPods Pros, and I don't disagree. They're different sounding, and this is where it all comes back to audio quality is pretty subjective. There are certain headphones that others prefer the sound of that others don't. That's fine. But in my experience, I found them pretty evenly matched, and in certain circumstances, I thought these sounded better than AirPods Pro. So I still think those are a hit. The base model, cheapest AirPods, I still think those are great. These I don't, though, which is a shame because they're so close to being great. Hey, Randy's in the chat. Welcome, Randy. Don't worry about plugging in. Old Timmy probably has plans to remove the headphone jack from the Mac soon. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. It'd be really interesting if they actually did something kind of major with Apple Silicon and headphones where they could get some type of like game-breaking low latency features where the latency for a wireless pair of headphones was like on par to that of wired. I know it probably wouldn't be quite as good, but if they can shrink that slight amount of latency there is even more so than it's already been, then to the point that you could be like, wow, actual audio professionals or video editors could actually use these. Like, that I think would have justified the price a bit better if they were like the H2 chip. You know, they're still using the H1 chip in these, which is the same chip they shipped in AirPods 2 almost 3 years ago. If they could have done some kind of next generation thing where it's like these could be reference monitors that are wireless, then I would be like, okay, that separates it from the competition. That gives it new uses that it doesn't currently have. So I don't know. It needed something. There are 2 H1 chips instead of just making into a chip. See, that's what I don't understand. They said on the website that each cup has 1 H1 chip, but isn't there 1 H1 chip in every AirPod? Or do they only put the H1 chip in one AirPod and not the other? No, that's not how it works because you can use one AirPod at a time. So there's still 2 H1 chips here, and there's 2 H1 chips here. So connectivity-wise, I don't know. Tim Cook says, we have made these headphones where the latency is lower than wired headphones. AirPod Max are the future. I doubt they could get lower than wired, but I bet you could get really, really close to, like, it's near impossible to notice unless you're like a pro gamer or something that notices like extremely little latency. Mike is saying, I'd appreciate low latency connection. Too bad I don't want to spend $550. That's most people. Half of H1 chip in each OG AirPod. Is that how that works? Yeah, I think it's impossible to ever be faster than wired. Pretty much. I mean, it might be a different bottleneck after a certain point. It comes down to how fast your computer can actually process the audio jack. But wired will always be better than anything else. It's kind of the same debate with like Ethernet will always be faster than Wi-Fi. But similarly, this is kind of the example I wanted to talk about is like Ethernet will objectively always have faster options than Wi-Fi, but we have reached a point where Wi-Fi is so fast that the differences between wired and wireless are hardly noticeable under the vast majority of circumstances. There's only a very few amount of situations in which Ethernet would actually noticeably improve your bandwidth over wireless. But for 99% of what most people use the internet for, wireless is enough. So if we could get to that point with wireless headphones, to the point where latency is so little that for 99% of situations you couldn't notice the difference, then that would be something else. I've been editing with these, though, the past few days, ever since I got them. I actually got them on Tuesday, and I filmed the unboxing, but I didn't edit it until the next day. So even though the stream says 24 hours with AirPods Max, it's been more like probably 36 or something like that. Oh my goodness, Viper got me in a huge discussion on Twitter I don't know about. Oh, Viper says he ran into the AirPod Max bug that I talked about yesterday. Toggle between noise cancellation and transparency via the button on the headphones. And transparency mode stayed on in the right ear cup. I kept toggling between modes, though, and eventually it fixed itself. Oh, that's weird. That's not what I'm experiencing. I had to hold my ANC button and the digital crown at the same time for around 5 seconds to get mine fixed. I tried that. It didn't fix it. Huh. Interesting. Other people are getting that. How do they get out of sync? They're connected, for God's sakes. How do you justify buying the 12 Pro Max over regular 12 or even 12 Pro? Well, I don't, because I don't have it. But I guess some people just want the biggest possible iPhone, and that's what the 12 Pro Max offers. But for most people, yeah, that's pretty hard to justify. But I still get it, because there's a lot of people. I know a lot of people that just want a huge phone. So as long as you can provide the largest display with an iPhone with a good camera, then they'll get that one, no matter how much it is, even if it was $2,000. But these don't have that type of, what do you call it, feature that you just can't get elsewhere, in my opinion. It's all just refinement on what's already in existence for substantially more money, or downgrade in some situation. I would consider this a massive, colossal downgrade compared to most other wireless headphones. I wonder if there isn't a wire connecting each cup and they connect separately, which is why they have H1. That would be funny. If there isn't a wire between each one, why are they so expensive then? That should help them be easier to mass produce. Randy says he had the same issues last night. Oh no. That's not good. Do the ear cups come off too easily? No, I don't think so. I have a lot of complaints with these, but that's not one of them. I like how easy it is to just apply a little bit of force, pop right off. Yeah, it looks pretty clean in there. Try wear them like this. Oh yeah, there must be a wire because you can charge them from one end. There's only one charge port, so yeah, they have to be getting. Maybe there's just power between the two, but maybe not data? I don't know. Makes more sense that there would be at least some wiring between the two. Maybe iFixit can tell us. But yeah, I like that you can take these off, but yeah. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss, Apple. Oh, Snazzy Labs confirmed there's a wire in the teardown. Gotcha. If only AirPods Max actually had the rumored reversible fit. I don't remember that report. What was... Oh, you mean you can hold them either way? I don't know. I remember talking about that in a video because there were rumors that they were going to be like, it would automatically detect your left or right ear. And I'm like, whatever the technology used to make that work, it's probably very complicated and expensive. How exactly were they going to do it? Were they going to be able to detect which way your head was facing, or was it going to be able to use like computational audio to try to figure out which direction your ears are shaped? However they were going to do it, it was going to be expensive and complicated and probably not work very well. So I don't blame them for wanting to scrap that. Like, how much time does that honestly save? Let's be honest. The ability to not have to look at the headphones and be like, oh, left, right, got it. Like, How much time are we saving there, really? Let's see. An electron goes in one side, another one pops out the other end. There you go. That makes sense. Do you want AirPods Max to be $1,000? I mean, most of the reasoning I'm seeing people say to justify AirPods Max being $550 can justify it for any price. That's the thing. If you're just like, yeah, but I want my headphones to be metal, it's like, well, where's the line drawn then? Because if AirPods Max were $1,000, then you could still make that argument. It would just suck. This was gonna be a return for me, even if I didn't have the defect. So I'm just in general not that big a fan of over-ear headphones, and after wearing regular AirPods again yesterday, I was reminded how nice it is to just have little buds. This is not like, I've been wearing them a lot lately, the past few days. I've been trying to wear them as much as possible, and it's really like annoying how, because they're so big, and when I'm like bundled up in the morning or using them on my side or something, the microphones pick up every tiny thing that touches these metal cups. If there's like, if it's going against my pillow, or if I have my jacket on like this or something, it's going to pick up every slight motion, and I hear it even with noise canceling on. And that's something I just don't notice or have to worry about with regular AirPods because they're so tiny. They're so little. They don't pick up all that little extra feedback because they're so little, and they don't mat down my hair a bunch. And they're much easier to transport. You know, I can fit these in my pocket. I can fit these in like the tiny sub pocket in your jeans, whereas these are just, they look like a purse, and they won't even be that easy to store in a bag because of the headband and the cover not taking up that much. Nick says 550 is already pushing the max for me. Yeah, that's how convenient that 600 is the max for everybody. Go $50 over what they are, that's about the max. AirPods Pro do the same thing. Hoods are a no-no. I don't notice it with the AirPods Pro, just because they're smaller, I think. There's just less of a microphone to worry about because it's harder for things to rub up next to it or something like that. You missed what I said about the defect. What's wrong with it? My right one is making hissing sounds occasionally. Not always. It'll just sometimes give me a little windy feedback noise, and sometimes when I would put it on, they would go just on the right side. It's definitely not a feature. It's definitely not supposed to be that way, but that's what it's doing. And it's not consistent. Like, it's not doing it right now, but it was doing it like an hour ago. So I don't know if it's a firmware problem because I've tried it on multiple devices and it didn't change. So yeah, every pair of AirPods after the first gen have just been problematic for me, to be honest. Like, I guess after the second gen, I didn't really have many issues with AirPods 2. But AirPods Pro were problematic. Between charging method and ANC was a huge issue for a ton of people, and I believe they had like repair programs go into effect over the ANC issues with AirPods Pro. And yeah, Mike is saying my AirPods Pro do fine when under my beanie. Yurho Sawa says same. I'm sure I'm returning them because even if I wanted to keep them, they have a defect. So I wouldn't want to keep using $550 headphones that have a hardware defect. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a firmware fix to me. But even so, I wasn't planning on keeping them. Even without the defect, I wasn't planning on it just because 550 is way too high. We've been talking about them for so long. I knew that we would be reviewing them, so I was planning on buying them regardless. But I was planning on returning them even if they were 350. That was my initial plan. Was like, oh, okay, Apple's gonna launch over-ear headphones. They'll probably be somewhere between $350 and $400. I'll buy them, give my opinions on them, and return them just because I'm happy with my standard AirPods. But then they ended up being $550 and having quality control issues. So that's like a major return. Yes. Is it possible to use them without the battery draining? No, that would be cheating physics. Unless you plug them in, I guess. Oh, do you just mean can I use them while they're charging? Yeah, I think so. I don't understand what would have been so complicated about the on and off switch. Like I know that Apple likes to be simple and clean about stuff, but come on. Really? Like they do it on something really really simple. Like they do it on the Magic keyboard here. Just like this. Really tiny. You can barely notice it. It's just a little green. You can flip it one way or the other just to save battery life instead of like the only way to turn them off. Or at least they could probably add this in a software update. If they let you like hold both buttons down and then they shut off, come on, like you can do that with one patch, but they didn't. They wanted them to function the same as other AirPods. Yeah, but then they have a charge case. AirPods go off when you put them in the case, which there's nowhere else to put them. Over ears aren't like that. Over ears are like a lot of people wear them like this. And if you wanted them to function same as AirPods, this should have been a charge case. And it should not have looked like this. It'd be different if they made a real actual charge case that was, something that protected the entire design instead of just the metal cups and having these weird gaps. These gaps do nothing. Seriously though, like maybe the crown go a certain rotation then click off, though I like the holding of the two buttons. Yeah, something, I don't know, just some kind of override that involves not using this. Because this what for one, you can put them in backwards like I just did. Look, you put them in like this, now I can't charge them. I put them in wrong because the cushions are on this side, and that's where the lightning cutout is, which is dumb. And AirPods you can't put in backwards. There's only one way to put them away, which I like. Like if I take these out, if I try to put the left one in the right section, it won't close. I just you know exactly where they go because there's only one way to put them away. These have two ways to put them away. Half the time you're going to get it wrong unless you're always paying attention to, oh yeah, you're going to put the cushions this way. Got it. And then you have to make sure to shorten the stems, otherwise the lightning port doesn't align with the notch. What are the gaps for? What does this do? Like I get it on this because that's where the lightning port is, but I have to shrink the stems every time and then the lightning port goes through. But what is this side like? Why is this empty? It's it's leaving metal to be exposed if you're packing this in a bag or something, or it's getting scratched, or you're carrying it around with you. Most of the AirPods are exposed. Like, why? It's exposing these top pieces. Like, yeah, I want to make sure I can still access the digital crown and the side button. What was so hard? Like, I feel like I've seen a million over-ear headphone cases that are just hard, fabricy with a zipper that you can fit them in. I know these dumb Bravens came with one. Yeah, they just fold up like this, and you can fit them in a little travel case. And it's very simple. And Apple could have had little MagSafe connectors on the metal cups that it sits in, and then you can charge it through the case. Even then, it would be more like OG AirPods. Like, I'm just so confused. I'm so perplexed by this, which sucks because they sound great, and the transparency mode and noise cancellation are fantastic. But yeah, it's just. Hold on a second, guys. Give me 1 second. Hey everyone. Sorry, I don't know what was going on. Someone was just screaming outside, and I have no clue where they were, but it didn't sound good. So I'm trying to see where they were located, but I was looking around the house and I can't find them. Anyway, I don't know what that was. I don't know why they were screaming but I'm debating if I should call the police or something, but I don't know where they are. Ugh, scary. I just heard a bunch. It sounded like a girl or something, but I don't know if you could pick it up on the microphone. But I heard a bunch of screaming. I was just like, "What? What is that? What's going on?" I was looking for someone, but huh? I hope everyone's okay. I'd go around and start looking, but I couldn't tell where they were coming from. I don't know. Didn't sound good. Jeez. Never had something like that. Someone said I thought I heard help. I didn't hear a help, but I couldn't make out words. It was just like random screaming. No, that has never happened here before. I've never had that. Sometimes the neighbors get mad and yell at each other occasionally, but that's not that often. Um, Mike says you caught me. I was me running down the street screaming. Oh man, I hope nothing bad happened. 2020, it's got all kinds of surprises. Oh, geez, scary. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, someone must have heard me talking about AirPods Max and been upset. That's probably what it was. That's reasonable to assume. Well, they stopped screaming at least. Not sure if that's a good or bad thing. I'm looking at the security cameras around my house in case you were wondering, just to make sure, like, if something shows up on my cameras. It's really confusing though because I have no clue where they were coming from. I couldn't tell which side of the house they were on. Weird. Okay. To perform a factory reset, press and hold both the noise control button and digital crown for around 15 seconds. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that several times now, just to see if I can fix these dang things. Do you think Apple will address any of these issues in the second version of AirPods Max? Yeah, I think they pretty much have to because, I mean, they addressed a lot of issues with the original AirPods with the second gen and AirPods Pro because that was one thing a lot of people were asking for was like some kind of noise cancellation, and that's what they did with AirPods Pro. So, yeah, if they did something with this case, that would be great. I would love a better charging method than just Lightning. I would love a cheaper price. I don't understand why so much of it has to be metal, to be honest with you. Like, I kind of get the stem because you want this part to be durable and stuff. That's fine, but the cups themselves, like, I hate the sound they make for one, but like, why did these parts have to be metal? I don't understand what that really helps with. Like, all the other AirPods are made of plastic, and people still feel like they have a luxury status symbol, iconic look to regular AirPods, and they're plastic. So why not make them out of the same material regular AirPods are made of? Can you imagine these just with the solid white, plastic? Sure, it might get a bit scratched up when you hold it under certain lighting, but so is this. This is definitely going to get scuffs and marks over time. It's like the aluminum on, look at any iPhone 6 that's a few years old, like the back of iPhone 6s, how those get all scuffed up. Let's see. Apple should actually make more things out of titanium. No, I agree. Better than steel, but titanium's more expensive, which is not what I think these need. I think these could be lighter, and I don't like the ball joint that attaches them to the stem. That can be metal and stuff. I'm fine with that, but this cup thing here being metal, I just don't really understand what that helps with. If they were plastic, they would you could actually support inductive charging through them. So you could put MagSafe on the back or something like that. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of confusing choices with these things, but that's for certain. Um, Yuhirasawa, thank you for the tier 1 for 27 months. Scuffgate. Yeah, I guess we got Scuffgate starting now. What do you think will be at the March event? There's a few things rumored. For one, we've had Apple TVs rumored for years. maybe this is the time we finally get it. For two, probably more Apple Silicon Macs. I would be pretty shocked if we don't get any new Apple Silicon until, quadruple UDC. That would be quite a ways away. I feel like we got to get at least one more Mac on Apple Silicon before then. My guess would be the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the 4 USB-C ports, and they give the M1 X chip an extra Thunderbolt controller, something like that. Maybe a 24-inch redesigned iMac, but I'm turning into the boy who cried wolf on that one. I keep thinking maybe this time. But yeah, there's been a growing number of reports saying Q1 for the iMac, so I could see it probably launching around March. Apple normally doesn't do anything in January, so I don't think they would have a January event, but March is pretty likely. They've done quite a few of those. Do you miss the stainless steel Apple Watch? Not really. I really like the red look. The only reason I got the stainless steel Apple Watch was for the sapphire glass, because that was way stronger and more durable. But I actually haven't noticed that many scratches on my Series 6, even though it's the weaker glass or whatever. I'm looking at it now. I got some watermarks on it from when I last washed my hands. But no, the glass still looks pretty good on mine. So I guess I've been babying my watch a bit more this time around because it's not all scratched up, which is what happened to my old aluminum Apple Watches because they use the cheaper glass. But I always thought the aluminum Apple Watches looked better because it was more of a matte finish, so it was more consistent, whereas the stainless steel watches always collected all these fingerprints and smudges and oils, and it made the fingerprints a bit more obvious. But didn't have that on the Series 6, and I love the red. If I could get these in red, oh man, not pink coral, but just imagine these with like bright red aluminum and a bright red silicone. Oh, that would be a great like March refresh if they announced a new product red AirPods Max color. That would be pretty cool if they did something like that. But yeah, red's like my favorite color for most tech products and stuff. Drew be spitting Apple facts. Yeah. One product a month, an hour-long an event explaining everything. Think iPad 8, but the whole time. One product a month? Nah, I don't think they do that. January is a seasonably like bad time for consumerism. That's just when we're getting off of the holiday period, so there's a lot less people buying new stuff. So, car sales are down, phone sales are down. Everything pretty much goes down into Q1 and then slowly picks up as the year goes on. So makes fairly little sense for them to announce that much in January. We don't go out much anymore either, so less worry for scratches. Yeah, that's probably why, because back when I got the aluminum Series 3, I noticed scratches on the glass almost instantly. It was like a few weeks in, and it was already irremovable scratches, and I was like, dang it, I just got this watch, and that's what made me want to upgrade to the steel one, which I did. But with this, I haven't had that in the past few months. It still looks clean, so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I was just too hard on my watch back then. I guess I was moving a lot at the time. I was moving a lot of stuff from my old house to my new office, and then after that we were switching offices, so it was just like there's a lot of moving stuff around, going through doorways and heavy lifting stuff. So I guess I'm not really doing that anymore. Maybe that's where most of the scratches came from. I don't know. But I've also just taught myself, like, you know what, Drew? You review a lot of watches. You buy lots of new stuff. It's probably not the end of the world for you to just have a few scratches on your watch, okay? It's not like it prohibits it from working. Don't be that nitpicky guy that's like, I got to keep spending $800 a year to make sure my watch doesn't have any scratches on it. It's like, you know what? Even if it does get scratches, I'm probably just going to live with it. Be like, I'm only probably a year or two away from getting another new watch. So why Why do I need to ensure that if I was buying one that I was like, this one has to last me the next 10 years, then sure, I would go stainless steel. But if I'm buying it knowing that I'm probably going to get another one in a few years, then no big deal. I totally think Apple will go into a more event format with less products each event in the long term. No, PJ. I don't want that to be the case, but you're probably right. I definitely prefer it when we have big events that are stocked full of lots of information. But Sam from iUpdate kind of explained it pretty well. He was like, as a fan, I'm more excited when we have events where they announce a bunch of things. But as a YouTuber, it's very helpful for me when they have more events for me to cover. And that gives us more time to speculate and more videos to recap. And that's monetization-wise, it's much better for us content creators. But I guess I don't really care about that very much. I don't care. Even if it was less beneficial to me monetarily, I'm still just a big fan of Apple and these products in general and trying them out myself. And I'm a big fan of watching those unveilings on stage, whether or not I was a content creator. So the fan in me really, really prefers having just 1 to 2 big events a year instead of 8 mini events where they talk about the iPad A12 chip for 20 minutes. You know, that's what I don't care for, is when it's just fluff after fluff after, hey, everyone, this new watch band is really cool. We're going to talk about it for the next 20 minutes. It's like, it takes the fun out of it. In my opinion, it makes it less special. Like, it's supposed to be like a big moment, a big event, you know? That's what it is. It's like a big deal when someone ends up having a keynote like that. And if they're doing it all the time and they start doing 5 or 6 keynotes a year, then it no longer feels special. It's just like, okay. And I was already feeling that at the end of this year. Like, yeah, 5G, all the 5G talk. I was already feeling that after the Mac event. I was like, so did we literally just get hyped for like a week and talk about all the possibilities of what's going to be at this event? And it ends up being 45 minutes, not even a full hour. And it's literally all about one chip. That's it. There's no headphones. There's no Apple TV. There's no Apple glasses. There's no new iPad or anything. It's literally just an entire event about one chip that they made and put into old designs. Like, it was a really good chip. I agree. Like, I love the M1 chip and the performance of it's incredible. But at the same time, a whole event just for that? Like, that's all you need to do for an event now is make a chip? I don't know. To me, it's like, there are certain things that make sense to do as a site refresh, and there are other things that make sense to have an event for, but Apple's getting them quite backwards, in my opinion, right now. Like, in my opinion, I would have much rather had these tacked on to the Mac event, where we can talk about these for a little while, and they can talk about the design and the technology and why they designed them the way they did. Maybe they didn't want to because they weren't really proud of the way they designed it. But if we could get slow, smooth, cool B-roll of these things as, you know, a Johnny Ive-esque voice is talking over them, talking about all the great tech that went into them and the logic, you know. I remember the original AirPods unveiling and how cool that was. In my opinion, that moment when you're watching the event and suddenly a product emerges from the shadows and it comes out of this blurry, like, close-up and you're not really sure what you're looking at and you're like, whoa, here it is, that's so cool. That's way more interesting than just waking up in the morning and being like, oh, there's new AirPods. Got it. There's the design. Okay, let me scroll through really quick. So that's a less eventful to me. But what I don't think is very eventful is when they, like, put a new processor in a budget iPad. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, that's fine as a site refresh. But guess what? iPad 8, they do that on stage. AirPods Max, site refresh. They're just like, hey guys, there's an A12 chip now. We're going to talk about this for 15 minutes. I'm like, that's not something that needs stage time. That's just like a spec boost. But AirPods Max is something I think that could have been really cool to watch unveil. Save the price reveal for the very end. That way we fall in love with it. We get excited for it. We're like, wow, they sound really cool. Wow, those look so amazing. Last second. And they start at $549. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And we're like, wait, what? But for that sweet 15-minute period, we'd be really, really excited and happy. iPad 9 gets iPad Air redesign, but with a 10.5-inch non-laminated display. I don't know if they can do non-laminated with the iPad Air footprint, though. iPhone SE and AirPods Pro shouldn't have been a site refresh. iPhone SE is more of a spec boost, so I don't need that. I don't really need that to be unveiled on stage. It's just an iPhone 8 with an A13 chip. Like, I don't... Basically, what I'm saying is things that are new designs make sense to unveil on stage, but not things that are just old designs with new processor. Here's my potato chip. Now give me relevancy in the social media. It was fun to skip work every year for the Apple events. Doing that now is pointless. Yeah, I agree. I knew a lot of people that were like, I'm going to skip class for this, or I'm going to stay home for this, and then they watched this 45-minute event where they're like, the Mac Mini is faster now, and it's like, what did I miss? We're going to talk about watch bands for 20 minutes. Anyway, I've got some more work to do today, guys, in case any of you didn't listen to my last Twitch stream. I'm going to be taking next week off for the holidays, but I am making some tech videos in advance, so I'm kind of working overtime right now to make sure that videos come out while I'm on vacation. So I got some more videos to work on, but thank you all for watching. Appreciate you, and the Twitch Primes and the bits, and I will see you again very, very soon. Take care, y'all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.